Okay, it's 1 p.m. at Eastern Standard Time in cloudy Ohio. We're getting ready to shelter in place during this coronavirus. It's Monday, March 23rd. And anyway, so we're going to see how this goes. So this is my first QTalk Live, and we're going to do some videos all week long for those of you who want to join us. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but just haven't gotten around to it, and why not? Here we are with nothing better to do as events have been canceled and I have a lot of time on my hands. Why not keep busy? Oh, you're right. It's not good morning, it's good afternoon. So I want to say hi to everyone out there who is going to tune in or who is tuning in from across the ocean, across borders, state lines, across the country. I know some of you are going to tune in from very far away, and we miss you all. Wish you guys were here. A quick update regarding shows because everybody's been asking. Still haven't heard back from Beat Fest, but I'm sure they will as soon as they figure out where we're going with this. Beat and Button has been very proactive, and they have moved the date to August 23rd to 29th. As of this morning, I have committed to do that event, and we will work in the next week or so to put together a schedule. I know there's a lot of you who have registered for my classes, and thank you. Thanks for hanging in. As far as Glasscraft in Vegas, they have not announced a new date, but we are hoping that will come soon. And as soon as that happens, I'll post it here on QTalk and also on my website, qphamgrade.com. So today's project is going to be a simple soldering project. It's going to be a link, and basically what my hope this week is really to get everybody warmed up back into doing things again in your studio, because we have a lot of time to play. And I know some of the projects are going to be a little simple, but I'm hoping that we're going to work our way up to something more interesting. Let's see what the response is this week, and I'm thinking next week we get into something a lot more complex. I'm scrambling to get together instruction sheets and materials lists. That's why we're starting easy this week, because most of you guys have all the materials that you're going to need for these projects this week. So hopefully by mid week this week, I'll have a list for next week so you guys can anticipate. As far as kits, sorry, I haven't gotten there yet, but we have lots of tools at theurbanbeater.com. So I really didn't think about putting together kits. I was just more focused on getting a demo out to you guys and getting started. Okay, so anyway, so the project, or actually before I move on, I want to show you guys the shirt that I'm wearing. Some of you guys have seen it, and yes, it's on backwards, but hey, it's sort of fun, and I thought it would be really appropriate for today and what's going on. But it says, keep calm and solder on. Yay, right? It's just sort of funny. So anyway, yeah, I hope you guys are keeping calm. I'm sure you guys are. Forget all the other crazies. We have our own fun, crazy stuff here. Okay, so project today, I'm going to move the camera and let's get going. Okay, let's see if I can do this. So I've tested 5 cameras this week, and I'm hoping that this one, I have another one coming tomorrow, but from what I have tested, this is not necessarily the best camera, but we're trying. So this is the project, okay? I'm calling it the inverted link. This is very much an Art Deco design, okay? It's been around for a while, and as you can see, there we are. Pretty straightforward. I wanted to make sure that you saw the clasp too. This is important. So we're just going to take a link and make it into a clasp. Okay, see that? Oops. You like the sparkle, Sally? Okay, so there's a clasp. So it's tension set, as with a lot of my clasps are, as you can see here. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be the clasp. Now, so this project is pretty straightforward. You're going to need 16 gauge wire of any color, and because we're doing this on the fly, and you all know me, I'm a little cheap, so I'm using copper, but this is going to be really pretty in sterling silver. And it does not need to be fine silver. In fact, for this project, I would probably prefer to do sterling because it's a little harder. Okay, so 16 gauge sterling silver, 16 gauge wire, and then the jump rings are 5mm 19 gauge jump rings, and that's 5mm outside diameter. And then we have one 8mm 18 gauge outside diameter jump ring for the clasp. Okay, wait, there we go. Sorry. Okay, now can you use 6mm? Absolutely, you can use 6mm. Can you use 18 gauge? Absolutely, you can use 18 gauge. For me, it's, I've been asked a lot about this very odd size that why 19 gauge? I don't know. We decided years and years ago that 20 gauge was too light, so we went to 19 gauge, and it seems to work with just about all the projects that I've come up with. So that's why the 19 gauge. But some people do like 18 gauge better. So there's your 19 gauge. And that's fine. We're not going to hold it against you. Just make sure the aspect ratio is good to accommodate for the size of thickness of the wire that you're using. Can you use 18 gauge wire for this project? Yes, you can, but it's a little light. Okay, so just be really careful. And the other thing too is to make it more rigid, I would make it smaller than what I'm doing here today. Okay, by the way, if you're looking for written instructions, I did post a link on this page, so you can click on there and then you can download instructions. I'm asking $5 for the instructions, but you can get it there at their computer. Now, the other thing I really love is this. I did this in 16 gauge square wire. You can see it adds a slightly different dimension to it. I think it's pretty cool, but most of you guys know I'm pretty obsessed right now with square wire. So a lot of things that I do has square wire of some sort in it, but knowing that we are crunching last minute, that most of you guys won't have this in stock or on hand. So anyway, but this is an option so you can see what the difference is in the links. Okay, so now so we're going to start with just cutting some wire. Okay, so the length is going to be 1 inch and 1/4. Let's see, and I like to use flush cutters. Okay, I'm going to turn this a little bit here so you can see that. So, and we're just going to snip back, remeasure 1.25 inches. And so my goal here, I'm going to sort of take my time and I'm going to make each link. I'm not going to make the entire bracelet, but I want you guys to be able to do it with me instead of going, ooh, voila, through the magic of the internet, everything's done. So we're not going to go ahead and make each and every one of these for you. Okay, so go ahead and cut one and then cut multiple pieces. You're going to need somewhere between 16 and 20 pieces, actually 17 and 21 pieces for the clasp, to make an entire bracelet. Somewhere between 6 and 8 inches is what it's going to take. Okay, so once you have cut a whole bunch of pieces, you can see here, you're going to need to hammer down the ends. Okay, so it's going to be about just 1/8 of an inch off the end there. Okay, I don't know what this is going to be, but we'll try. And pretty flat. And I'll show you why here in a second. And I'm going to do both ends. So I have my bench block on an old mouse pad. Okay. Why? Because I have you on ceramic tile, and I do is trying to buffer the sound a little bit. But anyway, not clear how helpful that is, but we'll see. All right. Okay, so can you see that I have flattened the end there? Okay, see that? Okay, so why am I flattening the ends? I'm flattening the ends because if you look at the link closely, okay, you'll see that the end there, right here, hugs the link so that it doesn't stick out. And then it also makes a really cool design on the inside here. I like it. I think it gives it a little something something. And I do that even with the square wire, okay? Because the outside, you don't want to have to sit here and file, because it will stick up, okay? So you do want to flatten that a little bit. And I'm going to show you a link here where I have not, can you see that? Where I've not flattened it at all. I haven't hammered it. So you can see how it sort of sticks up on the side, okay? And that's going to catch on things. It's going to be a sharp edge. But if you don't want a hammer, maybe you don't have your hammer, maybe your Pham and Kieu has your hammer, and if you don't want to flatten the hammer, that's fine. Pull out your file, and you can file that edge down, okay? So just like so. Okay, so you can just flatten that just to give it a nice curve towards the wires, all right? And these are going to be a little bit sharp too, depending on how good your cutters are. You're going to want to file that too, just a little bit. And remember, I'm a double filer. I don't care what everybody else says. I file in both directions. So you want to go through and do that with all your pieces. I'll do a couple more. I think everything's vibrating off my table here. So I'm going to prep 2 units in total. Now when you're flattening this, make sure that you're working on the same plane. So notice I'm going to hold this end here where I flattened it to make sure that it's facing up. And I'm maintaining the same plane so that it's not flattened here and then flattened this way. Get it? So you don't want to turn that. You want to make sure that it's all flattened the same. Just a couple more. Let's see, I have 4. Okay, so 4 will get me 2 units. Each one of these units is going to yield about 3/4 of an inch, depending on how you do it. See this one, yep, about 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so then you can figure out how many you actually need. Okay. Oops. So filing to take down the burr, any sharp edges. Now remember, you don't have to file it down if you don't like the person you're giving it to. It's always the rule. Okay, I know, evil. Let's see. Let's scroll down a little bit. Okay. So, you know, I haven't tried this with triangle wire. I feel like 2021 is going to be my year for triangle wire. So we'll see what happens. And I'll post that if I actually get around to that. But then how many people have triangle wire, right? I do. I do. Okay, so now that we have all of our pieces and we have both ends flattened, I'm going to grab that flattened section and I'm going to just churn it. Just a quick turn. Turn. You see that? Okay, there we go. You see that? Okay, and I'm going to do this again. So I sort of miss the production assistant from JTV who talks in my ear and tells me what I should be doing. But so instead, I have my other production assistant, Andy Gray, who is, believe it or not, talking in my ear and telling me what everyone is saying. Thanks for joining in and commenting out there as I'm trying to stay focused and not look at a screen while I do this. Now, it's going to get more crucial when I pull out a torch, right? Okay, so you see that? So the thing is, we're chain making, and I have a tendency when I do chain making to do everything on basically production line. So one step at a time for all of the pieces. That way, it keeps everything really nice and consistent, and that's what I look for when I'm doing chain making. Okay. The other thing that's really great about chain making and basic soldering is that it allows a lot of practice and repetition, which is always a good thing. And then you'll get it. It just takes a little bit of time. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wire, okay, and from the opposite edge, I'm going to measure in a 1/2 inch. Okay. Now remember, these were cut at 1 1/4 inches. So you've lost about a 1/4 inch with the loop. And so I'm just going to mark it at a 1/2 inch. I'm going to mark all of them. And I'm using a pencil because I forgot to go grab the Sharpie, but that's okay. I just want to see what's going on here. And again, this helps me keep things consistent. Okay. So mark that. And then I'm going to pull out again my round nose. And I'm going to put my round nose right at the mark. So the mark is right in the middle underneath there, okay? And I'm just going to push this. It's fairly large, and I'm going to gauge it. Okay, let's see. See that? And it feels a little small, so I move it down a little bit and bring it in. See? Okay. And we're going to do this for all of them, okay? And we try to be as consistent as you can with the size and the shape. Hi to everyone who's just joining us. You can always rewind later. I've been asked a lot about these videos and where we're going with it. They'll stay here. They'll stay up here on the QTalk Facebook page. And at some point, I will post it on my YouTube channel. I know I have a YouTube channel. Who knew? But there's not much up there. And maybe when this is all said and done, there will be much more up there, but we'll see. Okay, so oops. Can you guys see all those pieces? Let's see. Still trying to figure out the camera here. Okay, so I have all these pieces, but if you notice, there's the U is sort of open. You see that? So we want to bring it in a little bit so that it's more these two lines are sort of parallel. And then we're going to invert them. Okay. So obviously, sigh, I made a mistake. I'm working on the wrong project in my head. Anyway, so you see my loops are too small compared to what I have here. Okay, you see that? My loops are much bigger over here. So, okay, try this one more time. Sorry. So if you've made this mistake, not a big deal. We're going to pull this out just a little bit. You see that? And I'm going to just gently insert and push down. You see? I'm opening this up. and we're just going to make a bigger loop. Slightly bigger loop. There we go. Oops. So this is a how to fix. Why not? Here we are. So loop is not very pretty. I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to adjust that. Much better. Okay. And I'm going to do it for the rest of them too now. Sorry guys. So I've been working the last few days really hard to finish up the other projects, so I'm ready for you guys tomorrow and the rest of the week. That I've got these projects a little bit mixed up in my head. Sorry. Yes, you can use this as a design variance, which is great. So, and I suppose this is also how to fix something. So you see how I'm pulling it apart and I'm using my round nose to just bend it back over and push it into shape again. So this works too. Because a lot of people don't know how to fix that swirl once they've made it. So that's how you're going to do it. I just put it back into the round nose and I forced it into shape. So you can see. Okay, so we're back in order here. Okay, and now I'm taking out my chain nose. This is a bent chain nose, which I do love. Okay, and I'm just pushing it down. As you can see, some of them, see how they sort of wobble? That means that they're sort of off kilter, right? So I'm just going to push them down and flatten it just a little bit. So another thing too that I'm noticing as I'm working is when I bend this flat edge, you see that flat edge? It was torqued a little bit and not parallel. So I'm just going to turn those back and make sure they're nice and parallel. Okay. And then, so here, what has happened, I think you can see this, right? That my tail is beyond, it's a little long. And, you know, again, you can say that's a design variance, but if you want to fix that, how I'm going to fix that is I'm going to go back in here, you see, and I'm going to push it open gently. Okay. And then I'm going to take out my chain nose. And I'm going to, see that? I made it straight again. And I'm going to bend this back over. And see how it's short again? Okay, so that's how you're going to fix that. So, hold on a second. Forgot my leather mallet. Okay. So then I'm going to put this back on my bench block, and I'm going to flatten this just a little bit. If you're afraid of hitting your hands, here's a trick. Take out that pencil and hold it. So sometimes in some of my classes, I ask for a pencil with an eraser, and everybody's like, why do you need a pencil with an eraser? This is why we need a pencil with an eraser on it. And no, a mechanical pencil is not going to work because, you know, they sort of push in. Okay, so now that they're pretty much flat, what you want to do is after you've made all of your units, you want to line them up. Okay, so you want to line them up and you want to match them up so that they're similar. So I like these two together. And there we go. So this one, again, it's a little short. I don't know if you can tell. You see, this one's a little short compared to that one. I'm going to fix that one too. Because, you know, I can. And I'm a little anal retentive. So I can put it in, gently open it up, and change the bend. if you have questions, do throw them out there. Andy is relaying them in my ear, believe it or not. Okay. And if I go off screen, do just yell out. Andy will tell me, relay what you're saying online. Because I'm trying to stay focused here and not just look at what's online, because you know I'm probably going to hammer my finger if I look on the screen. Okay, so there we are. Yay. Okay, so again, this guy here, you can see it a little bit. You see his tail is sort of hanging up. So I'm going to take out my chain nose. I do like these bent nose that I have here, and I'm just going to adjust it down a little bit so that he's not hanging up. And then the key here, because we're going to solder these pieces, right? The key is you need to make sure that this area here, can you see that? This area here has to be touching. That's where we're going to solder. So if you look at this one, you see it's hanging out, right? So you need to make sure that you bend that in to make it touch. So I'm going to fix those also right now. Okay, so the question is how big are my loops? You know what? Let's take a look. I want to say they're about 4 millimeters, the loops, and yeah, 4 millimeters. The links, we'll talk about that here in a second. Okay, let me fix this real quick. How long are the links? Well, this is sort of up to you. For me, with a smaller wrist, I like my links a little bit smaller, because if they're too wide, it doesn't sit right on your on your wrist, because it won't bend around the wrist. So you're going to go a little smaller. Okay, so you can absolutely make your loops a little smaller if you want to go for smaller links or smaller or larger loops. Now, another thing too is you can see here, it depends. If you want to make your links tighter, you can see the two different designs, right? You can push them together like so, or you like the top one, or you can pull them apart like this one, and then they'll be longer. The links that you see in the sample picture, again, are about 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so if that will help you gauge a little bit. Now, the problem with putting them together like this, can you see that? Is that now you need to get larger jump rings if you're going to connect the jump ring through here. It won't work with those 5 millimeter jump rings. In fact, I don't think they're going to work with a 6 millimeter jump ring either. You're probably going to have to go to a 7 or 8, or better yet, go to an oval jump ring, and then it'll reach from link to link. Hope that makes sense. So say again, Andy. So we're using, again, 16 gauge wire. Okay, and so now I'm just making adjustments to make this straight. So you want to make sure that you see the space in here, right in here, has to have enough space for the wire to come through. I'm going to bend this one down a little bit again. Okay. Let's see. So, see that? That's a nice tight fit right there. I'm going to pull these apart. You see? So, there, I'll put on my finger. I think you'll see even better if I put on my finger. Aha, it focused. Okay, so you see how it's touching here and touching here, because we're going to solder this, right? I'm going to bend this one too, just a little bit more. Yes, am I being a little anal retentive? Yes, I am. So take a second out and talk about the solder setup. Okay, so to solder, what you're going to need is you're going to need a torch, of course. You'll need some fire tweezers. That's what these are. And a firing surface. This is not it. I'm only using this because it's going to protect my table today. This is not my typical workspace. My typical firing station is a lot messier than this. And a lot more fire resistant. So I'm going to pull out a soldering board. You can use anything you want here for a soldering board. You can use a magnesia board. You can use a solderite board. We have all of these things, of course, available at theurbanbeater.com. Yes, it's a glorified infomercial. Go with it. So you need your fire tweezers. You need okay. So you need your fire tweezers. You need a firing board. You need a quench bowl. You need a pickle pot, solder. Of course, you need all the hand tools, you know, side cutters, round nose, chain nose, to do all that stuff. Today we also used a bench block and a chasing hammer and a leather mallet. You'll need all of these this week too for the other projects, just to let you know. I think I got everything there. Oh, copper tweezers to go with the pickle, because you don't want to put any ferrous metals in there, and a torch, whatever you want. So I'm using this torch today. It's the pistol torch, and it goes right onto the butane. Yeah. So the question is, can you use one loop, single side, as a template for the others? Yes, absolutely. What you want to do, again, is chain making. So you want to make one that you like and replicate it over and over and over again, because that's how you're going to get the chain to be consistent. So absolutely. Like when I was cutting, I cut one and I used that as my template for all the other ones to ensure that they're all the same size. And then when you bend the loop all at the same time, and so on and so forth. So make sure you production line that. Okay. So now I'm going to go back down here. Say again, Andy. Yes, using parallel pliers is actually a really good idea. Thanks, Cheryl. Don't know where my parallel pliers are right now, but yes, parallel pliers are really cool. Okay, so you need solder paste. Okay, today I'm using copper solder paste, and if you are doing silver, I would use medium or hard at this point. Okay, so we're only going to solder the outside edges. Let me move this closer to you. Here and here. So what kind of torch did you get, Lori? Okay, so notice I'm going to put it right there. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if it focuses. See a tiny little bit right there. And then I'm going to gently move it over and do the same on this side. You can use any kind of solder that you're comfortable with. For me, it's just easier to do solder paste, especially for something this small, but absolutely. Heck, why not challenge yourself and do pick soldering on these? You know, why not? Life's short. So I'm going to do the other one, and again, to production line it a little bit. Okay. We're using 16 gauge today. Oh, nice. Post a picture of it, Lori. Thanks for answering. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and torch this, and I hope that I don't torch my camera. Let's see if it'll focus for you. So what's sort of nice here too with the copper as a demo is you guys can see the dark solder. I think if I use silver, you're going to have a bit of a challenge. Maybe it's a little bit too big here, so you see I have a tighter loop, but we'll go with that because there's just going to be just enough space in here for the jump rings. Okay. And I'm going to pull that apart again just a little bit because it came together. Yeah, just like that. Okay, so when you are soldering copper, heat right at the joints until it flows, no big deal. But if you're heating silver, make sure you heat the whole thing, and then you're going to heat those joints. Okay? Make sure you adjust. So pretend it's silver, as I always do in classes, then I can go with the joint. And you're going to watch for the flow. And because we're using solder paste, you want to make sure that no longer looks like sand. You want to make sure it looks like liquid silver. Okay, there's that joint, and there's the other joint. So you probably saw me pinch the wires together because I saw the metal move apart. You know, it does do that when you heat it up. It does seem to want to move apart. So I was just pinching it together while I was soldering, and that brought it together. Although I do see air through there, which means it wasn't quite enough. I'm going to quench that. So you can see. Done deal. And I'm going to go ahead and resolder that. It doesn't have so much fire scale that, yes, I'm blowing on it. It doesn't have so much fire scale that I need to pickle. So I'm just going to, yeah, the wire was just a little torqued and it bent out. So I'm just bending it back just a little bit. Okay. And put a little bit more solder paste on there. It looks like the solder is sort of not there, which means, I don't know, disintegrate it. Just a little bit. So a teeny weeny bit, like so. Do it again. Always have a pair of fire tweezers in hand. And I'm just going to hold it there. Again, this is copper. I don't have to heat the whole thing. It's a big flame for such a small piece. And I'm going to watch it and see that it has flowed. There it is. Okay. Quench that. And there we go. Done deal. I'm going to stick it in some pickle. So, which is off to the side here. Okay. Give it a minute. Pickle's pretty strong today. I use hot pickle because it works faster and you guys don't want to sit around all day waiting for my pickle to work. And again, I wanted to make sure that I was processing through this live and not just through the magic of the internet and just have a voila moment. So it's going to take a second. And there it is already. Okay. Ready to clean. Dry it off nicely. And then we're going to this. Oh, the sound. Okay, so repeat what I said about torching. So when you torch, you want to make sure if you're doing sterling silver, you want to make sure that you heat the whole entire piece and then focus on the joints to get it to flow. And you want to make sure that you no longer see, because we're using solder paste, you want to make sure that it doesn't look like sand, grains of sand. You want to make sure that it's flowed and looks like liquid silver. That's the key. Okay, so now that the pieces are soldered together, you want to check and make sure that they're nice and tight, okay? So I'm going to hammer this. You don't have to, but I like it. So I'm just going to hammer the end. And again, if you're afraid of hitting your fingers, just hold it like so with that pencil. and turn it over. And I'm only hitting the shoulders or the bend because it's going to give a lot of texture. Let's see if the camera focused for me. It's giving some texture because we had flattened the inside loop and so flattened the edges now too. Okay. Or the ends. Okay, go. So now we'll go ahead and connect the pieces. Oh, wait. Let's make the clasp quick. Okay. So for the clasp, what you want to do is you want to file. You file one end and you're going to flatten the other end. Actually, I'm going to flatten one end first for the loop. Am I going slow enough for you guys? Are you following? And then on this side, on the same plane, we're going to flatten. About 1/8 of an inch. Okay. Take off any sharp edges. Okay. Make sure I have no sharp edges. You can also use sandpaper if you prefer. Okay, got the round nose again. Okay, how did I lose my round nose? Okay. And on the flattened end, not the filed end, on the flattened end, I'm going to make a loop. And I'm going to make a loop, you'll see. I make okay, so you see the clasp, the loop is a lot bigger than all the other loops. I want to make this loop the width, basically the width of the links. Okay, or else it's going to look a little funny, but hey, design feature, like Cheryl said. Okay, so with your file mark facing you, okay, up, I'm going to make a bend towards it. So the flatten that you hammered and the flatten that you filed will be on the same plane. And I'm going to turn that. Yep, a little bit bigger, just like so. You see? Easy, right? And then I'm just going to eyeball the other side this time that I'm measuring. And what I'm doing is I'm bending it just, and I keep sort of adjusting my bend until I get there. And I want it to sort of just meet it. And I file the inside because it allows a little bit better of an action for when you go to loop or go to hook it. Because this is basically a hook. Okay. Okay. Take out 2 pairs of chain nose pliers, or a pair of chain nose and a pair of flat nose, whatever. And we're going to open and close jump rings. So open and close rings. Here's finding at 12 o'clock. Hold it on one side of that end and twist it open. Add your links and twist it back. Okay. So I'm going to do 2 jump rings so that it's just, again, it's a design feature. And you know what? If you're using the square wire, hey, why not use square wire jump rings? How cool would that be? But even if you're not using square wire, you can use square wire jump rings just to give it that extra texture. Oops. and just, you know, some variance. It's always, for me, it's always nice because, you know, we can always work with round wire, but how boring. So let's make it more interesting. Okay. I don't know what's going on with the sound, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. The mic is stagnant. It's in one place. I haven't touched the mic. So I don't know. Hopefully with the new camera tomorrow, that will change. Okay, so see, 2 jump rings. And then I'm going to add 2 more for the class. And then we're going to pickle this. Okay, last jump ring so I don't bore you guys. Now remember, okay, so you're just going to build this until you have enough pieces to make the length. Now here again, you can see my clasp. Okay, and I'm going to end with 2 jump rings and my large 8mm jump ring for the catch. Now you don't have to solder all of these jump rings because we are going double and they are 19 gauge, and some of you guys are going to be using 18 gauge anyway, so it's heavy enough that you don't have to solder them. But the one thing I would do is I would solder this guy. Okay, so how do I do that? Because, you know, after all, it is a catch. Okay, so even though this is all finished, I'm going to do this one anyway. Actually, wait, no, better yet. Then I won't mess up my sample. I'll add this guy on. Okay. It does remind me of a paper clip. It's so funny. And hey, nothing else. You guys learned how to make paper clips today. Fancy ones. Okay. So here's my jump ring. The opening is on top. You probably can't see that through this video. Okay, so see that? And turn my torch. I have put nothing on there. I'm just heating it up because it allows me to apply my solder a little bit more easily. I'm using a dressmaker's pin for my solder application. You can use a toothpick. You can use a piece of wire. Okay. You see that? And then I'm going to hold it just like so. Okay, so since you guys can't hear me over the torch, I'm holding this, actually, let's see, why am I being so peculiar about it? There we go. I'm holding it like so, and I'm going to put my torch right here. I'm going to point at the camera and hope I don't melt anything, okay? But anyway, so I'm going to point the torch right here until it flows. Yes, the torch is pointing right at you guys. Ha-ha. Oh, and there it is. Done deal. Okay. Done. Stick in the pickle for just a moment, and I'm going to, while it's pickling, clear this off and grab some liver sulfur. Okay. I went ahead and made some liver sulfur. I normally would use this warm. I made this the other day, so I'm just going to go with it. You know, you could microwave this since it's already been diluted. You could microwave it. However, I would suggest that you have a microwave just for the studio. See, I have one. See that? Look, I have a designated microwave for my studio. Anyway, so that you don't, you know, be consuming out of that microwave and you're doing chemicals and things. It's never a good thing. Okay, so then, hmm? So then, okay, we're coming back out of the pickle. I'm using, what do we call it? Is it grain? No, like the chunk stuff of liver sulfur. I have a tendency to use that because it just sort of lasts a little longer. If you are using that dry stuff, actually, let me grab it for you. If you're using the dry stuff, you can definitely save this pickle for about a month, okay? And it will keep working. So here, I'll show you. This is what it looks like, okay? And as long as it's still stinky and green, it's still good. So after you've diluted it, if you're making some fresh pickle, do use some warm water. It'll go a lot faster. And if you're saving it, just put it in a jar like so, seal it up like I have it, keep it in a dark place. Again, it should last you at least a month. Now, the liver sulfur, what are we calling it? Is it paste, liquid? Gel. Does not last as long. It's only going to last about 3 days, the gel stuff. Okay, so here I just have a piece of scrap wire, and because I don't want to put my fingers in there because Andy's not going to like me later, and I'm just going to dip it. That's it. Instantaneous. Done. Okay, so up to you. This is the recycle tip right here. I'm using scrap wire. Yes, I pulled it out of my scrap pile to use it. So thanks, Sharon, for pointing that out. Okay, so I'm going to dry it. And what you didn't see off camera was I have a rinse bowl, and I just rinsed it. And actually, I don't mind this color so much. You can use this with your silver too. Personally, I prefer liver sulfur. I'm sorry, I prefer black max with my my silver because it produces a more black, intense color versus liver sulfur on my silver, which is a little brown. Okay, so now I have that. I'm going to grab some steel wool. Forgot that too. Sorry. Okay, so you want to see my cycling? Here, Sharon. Here's a little thing. You see that down there? Those are wine crates that I put handles on. Yep. They're pretty cool. Okay, here again, I've liver sulfured this, and I'm just going to clean it. You do want to work a surface that you can really clean up. You know what? Still gets everywhere. And I work it like this. You can also throw this in a tumbler for nice polish, but a lot of you guys I know you don't have tumblers yet, which is fine. So you can do it like this. Tumbling will help work harden it a little bit, not completely, but you're just going to do this until you're happy. Okay. Come on, guys. No good questions out there? Throw some questions at me. Okay, so just cleaning. You can, of course, if you want to, like that. You can use a brass brush. So this is our first project. There will be 4 more to come. And if you hang out, I'm going to show you real quick. But I'm going to post them here today, by the end of the day, before dinner. I have one more picture to take. So you can see there's a difference of what I did. This one was liver sulfured much more intensely than what I just did here. I actually left it until it was completely black, and then I cleaned it up. I can't say I like this better than this. I can't say I absolutely love this one, but I do like this one a lot better. Just because I prefer more of a copper color. But if I was to wear this, I'd be making this in silver. Again, doing this in the last minute crunch here to get this together. Okay. Okay, so Lori just asked if you can use a texture hammer. Oops, sorry. I would say no, because you run too much of a risk of weakening the wire. Okay, so I probably wouldn't use a texture hammer. I would go to a much heavier gauge, like a 14 gauge, maybe even 12 gauge. That's totally crazy. But I probably go to 14 gauge, and if you wanted to do a little bit more of a texture, be very careful with texturing wire. It's not such a bad thing when you're doing it with sheet metal, but here you can go ahead and put a kink in it too. So what else do we have for this week? You know, another tip for heating is I actually keep a, let's see if I have it handy. I keep a mug warmer, which I don't know where it is. Let's see. Hold on. I keep a mug warmer handy, and you can pick these up for $5 at the craft store, and put my jar on it. And actually, let's talk about the mug warmer for a second. It's a good question, Sally. Thanks. Okay. Believe it or not, yes, this is a Talenti can. Yes, we like gelato. Black raspberry chocolate. Anyway, so this is pickle, okay? And why do I have yet another thing of pickle? If you look, see over there? Oops. See over there? Oh. Okay, so see? That is a pickle pot. I have yet another pickle pot in front of me that I moved for this segment. But anyway, so I have 2 pickle pots plus another thing of pickle here because I'm trying to keep things from cross-contaminating and that kind of stuff. There are times when I just like for this, I keep this for brass and then one for copper and one for silver because I've been doing so much copper that I don't want it to contaminate my silver. I just want to keep that separate a little bit. Anyway, so if I need to get this warm and I don't have that microwave, I put it on the mug warmer. You know, but it's going to take a little bit of time for you to get that warmed up. Another thing you can do too is you can heat up water on the side and get it really hot, just a little bit of water, get really hot and then pour it in. So that will help get it warm, okay? So the videos will stay on the QTalk page indefinitely, so you guys can always refer back to it. And again, written instructions are available at the Urban Beater. The link is provided within on this link. So, okay, let's see, what are we doing this week? So we have the, okay, I just lost everything. What happened? Am I still online? Oh, my video just died in front of me. Sorry, guys, hold on. This thing happened. Okay, so this is the circly earrings. I think it looks fuzzy. I can't tell. Fuzzy? I think it's fuzzy. Anyway, so that's gonna be the earrings this week. We have down. So this is gonna be the ribbon bracelet this week. Okay. And this is going to be the Crescendo bracelet. Ooh, we like Mediterranean mint too. Okay, we're talking about ice cream still. Okay, so that was that is, what are we doing? A Crescendo Bracelet this week. Don't have a name for this one yet, but we'll do this one too. So you're gonna need a lot of jump rings if you're gonna join in on this last one, and that's going to be, I think, Thursday. Um, so just to prepare you guys a little bit for the rest of the week, 18 gauge wire, 16 gauge wire, 5mm, 19 gauge jump rings, and a few 8mm jump rings. Tools, pretty much basic tools. You need anything, it is on our website. What else was I supposed to remind everybody of, Andy? Try to remember here. Oh, okay. So the public service announcement. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We have set up the website for downloading instructions. If you think there's any value in what you're seeing today, contributions are greatly appreciated. As you guys know, all the events have been shut down. I probably won't see an event until for another 2 or 3 months. And anyway, so go ahead, Andy. I'm talking to Andy. I'm talking to Andy in my ear. Can you believe that? Yeah, he's talking to me. So anyway, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll see you again with another project. Thanks for joining in, and reach out if you have any questions, like directly here, or just send me a message. I will get back to you, and stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks. Bye.